Shonen Jump is playing a dangerous game right now, people. They're playing a very, very dangerous game, and this could end very badly because I've seen it happen before. And based off one of you guys' comments, which, by the way, subscribe, hit that bell, and make sure you drop a comment if you want to be involved in some of these in the future. There's some serious validity to the fact that Shonen Jump's actions now could be very detrimental to the future of the magazine, the future to the publication, the future to manga as a whole. Let's talk about it. You know you love how dramatic that was. Okay, people, so definitely subscribe and hit that bell to be a part of these things, because I'm basically using one of you guys' comments as a springboard for the topic of this video, because this is something that is actually very important and integral to what's going on in manga right now, not only with Shonen Jump, but with manga as a whole, because let's be clear, Shonen Jump is usually the one that gets things going in terms of whether it be a trend, in terms of whether it be like a mold of shonen. It's usually Shonen Jump really takes it to the next level, and then a lot of these publications follow suit. So what happens when Shonen Jump misleads? What happens when, so to speak, the blind lead the blind? Because in one of my recent videos, I was talking about, hey, another series was confirmed to be ending. We have Martial Magic and Muscles that is fairly, relatively new. I'd want to say it just started like back in like 2019, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like, bam, yo, this is fresh. Yeah, actually, I take it back. I want to say it was either very late 2019 or very early 2020. Martial started, and it was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And all of a sudden, after back and forth, now it's going into its final arc with like a little bit over 100 chapters, no anime adaptation, no nothing, and people had a lot of things to say, including these people from this thread. Because for starters, shout outs to Abdul Dombia. They said, why do I feel that pushing these authors to finish their series early is going to come back and bite the manga industry in the butt? Because eventually there won't be enough series to become big by ending the ones we have now and canceling series before given time to flourish, like back in the big 3 era of manga. This could potentially become disastrous, and we could have a long dry spell of not having enough manga to read, and that's scary to think about. And then a few other people chimed in and responded to that in the thread, which again, if you want to be featured in these, definitely go ahead and comment what you got to say about something in the world of anime and manga. I think the Shonen Jump magazine will enter a dark age where sales will decline massively. Then when new leadership takes over, they will try to revitalize the magazine by focusing on the global market. Abdul responded and said, yeah, that seems like where we are headed, but the thing is, we will have to go through a crappy time before that happens, and I am not looking forward to that. Maybe there will be a boom in light novel anime, or if Japan is not careful, things might swing back to Western animation being popular. Giant again, or maybe webtoons might come in to take advantage of the gap since they want a piece of that anime fandom money. And yeah, people, like, this is going to be definitely something that's going to have to be tackled and faced moving forward, because y'all know that the big shonen titles, the ones that really are like powerhouses or whatnot, a lot of them have ended, are ending, or are about to end right now when it comes to everything that's popular right now. Of course, we got Attack on Titan, that the manga is already over, the anime is heading towards its final season, Black Clover's manga just entered its final arc, My Hero Academia is supposedly ending by the end of this year. There is just so many different things. Dr. Stone just ended, Martial Magic and Muscles, like I said, is entering its final arc. A lot of things are going south in terms of, hey, these things are going to end. So what carries this magazine moving forward? Because here in my hands, I'm looking right now, this is the current roster for Weekly Shonen Jump magazine as it stands in 2022. We got One Piece, which One Piece we already know, as much as we love it, it does have to end at some given point. It has been going on a long time, and honestly, the arc we're in right now, although it definitely won't be the final arc, it does feel like we're in a very long stretched climax. So whether it be 3 to 5 years, One Piece will end at some given point, and it's just a countdown. And also, we've seen, based on all the data we've collected over these, years with Forever News, that One Piece's manga, each and every volume is going in decline in terms of sales. So One Piece going to end soon. Jujutsu Kaisen, if I'm not mistaken, Gege already had it all planned out and had it percentaged out, and I believe we were, if I'm not mistaken, a quarter or maybe halfway already through Jujutsu Kaisen. That's not going to be a long one either. My Hero is almost out the door. We already know Horikoshi is talking about wrapping it up by the end of this year. Akena Banashi, don't know what that is, and it's not that popular if I don't know what it is, just keeping it real. I got my finger on the pulse of things, so if I know, like, I've seen the name, but I know nothing about it, you gotta work, you're probably a newbie, or you haven't been around long enough, or just in general, you haven't caught my interest. Sakamoto Days, that one, I think that has potential. I think out of everything in this magazine, in terms of quality and in terms of a newbie, Sakamoto Days has one of the strongest chances at doing something kind of like almost Spy Family, these unconventional shonen manga. You know what I'm saying? Like Spy Family, it's in Shonen Plus, you know, Shonen Jump Plus, but it's this family-oriented story with spies and all of this insanity that just doesn't feel like a Shonen Jump title. Sakamoto Days doesn't feel like a Shonen Jump title, and yet here it is. And the quality, based on what I read, it kind of has a little bit of that Gintama charm as well. Sakamoto Days is probably the strongest one to last a long time, because also the author has not said a word about like, yo, Sakamoto is ending. I haven't heard any fans saying that it's ending soon. I'm not caught up, but I'm reading it at my pace and I'm loving it. But Sakamoto, the only one I will say 100% that still has the possibility of lasting another 10 years if it wanted to, because there's just a charm about it and the story is good and the characters are awesome. And again, it's like Gintama returned to the magazine in a different form. Then we got Black Clover. Y'all already know, we talked about it many times. Black Clover entering its final arc. That could be 1 year from now, 5 years from now when it wraps up. We don't know. I'm going to guess at max no more than 2.5 years. The way I'm doing that is that it feels like everything is almost going 2 times the speed right now, right? Like if Naruto took 5 years to wrap up its final arc, I'm going to guess that Black Clover announcing its final arc is going to take about 2.5, let's just say. So I'm going to bet no more than 2.5. Honestly, I think maybe even in a year it can get done, depending on how ambitious and how much, you know, Tabata's trying to wrap up. But again, that's not saying a good thing, because aside from one series, everything else kind of has a timer on it. One Piece has a timer on it. Jujutsu Kaisen has a timer on it. My Hero, a timer on it. Akane Banashi, that's undetermined at this time. Sakamoto, that could be, you know, here for a while, and I could see success coming and making it stand even longer once an anime shows up. Black Clover, that's almost over, and if we're being just genuine and honest about ourselves, like, yo, dog, Black Clover was never really that big king that we all hoped for it to be. Even, you know, Shonen Jump, I remember covering an article where one of the people in charge said that they wanted it to be the next Naruto in the West, and that definitely didn't happen. Me and Roboko, I like the creativity of this author, right? Like, I'm not I haven't gotten into it or anything like that, but I like his creativity. I like the way that he thinks outside the box in terms of marketing, of doing these parodies of the other manga and Jump. Again, gives me more of those. Yo, Sorachi from Gintama was so ahead of his time with all of the gimmicks that he tried, all of the creative marketing ways. Like, shout outs to Sorachi from Gintama. But me and Roboko, I'll be honest with you, unless it really knocks it out the park with that anime, and I mean really knocks it out the park, me and Roboko constantly gets outsold by damn near everything in the magazine, and that's not saying much because of its genre. Again, I feel like me and Roboko was solely in this magazine so that it could eventually see if its anime could pop off because of the wackiness and comedy, but me and Roboko sells terribly. It does not sell well. It is not something that you can bet on to be a big thing in the future. If I'm wrong, cool. I was wrong about Demon Slayer, and that was based off of strictly just me being bitter, not about anything to do with the quality, but you never know. I could be wrong. The Elusive Samurai. That one right now, it's like doing okay-ish in sales. It's nothing like any of the ones that, you know, blow up immediately. It's building. It could be something, but as it stands right now, I'm gonna just keep it honest with you. I never see anybody telling me, yo, dog, put on, you know, you gotta read that Elusive Samurai. I just don't really hear that. And if you're out there and I just missed you, by all means, please scream into the void and I'll try to catch it. Tell me that the Elusive Samurai is greatness and I'm bugging out right now. But as it stands, the Elusive Samurai, it could go either way, but it's not anything of a craze. And if you've noticed, all of the newbies that I spoke about, nothing was like a immediate like guarantee. Like Sakamoto Days, it has a lot of potential, but it's not a smash right now, and it's not 100% guaranteed. And likewise with the other noobs that we've talked about thus far. Earthchild, very new, can't talk about it. Mission Yozakura Family, there's potential there. It's not a blockbuster by any means, and I feel like it's taken quite some time for it to grow its legs, and there's a little bit of fandom that I've been seeing growing over the past like maybe a year and some change or something. Like I've seen a little bit of fandom popping up for it, but it's still like The next one though I really want to talk about, right? The next one is one of the ones that I thought had the potential to kind of take the torch and run with it for the next generation. And if I was to say that one series right now is not living up to the potential that I thought it had, and I still think it could have, is Undead Unluck. I feel like Undead Unluck, because of everything I've heard from very trusted sources about how good it is, I feel like it's a shame that it doesn't get much love. I've noticed that the sales have dipped throughout its time. I'm also noticing again, which this could be unrelated to in terms of the love and, you know, passion that fans are having, but I'm noticing that Shonen Jump is taking a lot longer to announce anime for Undead Unluck for this next gen in general. It's like, well, if it was a smash hit and the fans are already loving it and praising it, why are y'all waiting so long? Is it that y'all restructuring everything like I spoke about in my last episode of Forever News? You should go check it out. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out or whatever. But I feel like Undead Undead Unluck should be doing more, should be selling more, should just be more on people's radar, and it's not. It's genuinely not. So that's something that is very disappointing to me right now. I hope things can pick up along the way, but as it stands right now, Undead Unluck is like, sales are going down. It's yet to get its anime, and an anime could change that. It hasn't been like a smash hit craze from the jump, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, it could go both ways again with this one, but nothing guaranteed, which is kind of the whole point of this, because, you know, as we keep going down, like, I've heard good things, but the sales are really, really bad. Witch Watch, it has mediocre sales. I haven't heard anything about it. Blue Box, this is one that is a romance sports series, and is actually increasing in sales. I think an anime could definitely catapult that one, so I am going to actually say, and I take it back, I was giving praise more so to Sakamoto Days, but I would say that Blue Box is more of the most sure thing out of everything I've mentioned, because I've seen the sales. They feel very organic. It feels very like this is the one, because Shonen Jump, considering it's primarily a magazine focused on like battle series and whatnot, for it to have a series like that, they usually stick out, and I see Blue Box being probably the most sure thing, even though Sakamoto Days is right there. So if anything, maybe it's not necessarily that this next gen is failing or going to be a failure or is a failure. Maybe it's just that the expectations and the placements were different. Maybe it was that we thought certain series that were hot for a little bit were going to be the flagships, and the quality and maybe other aspects. I don't want to down series and say this one's better than this one, that's why, ha ha ha. Maybe certain aspects is what changed the narrative to now certain series are not in the conversation of that's next up, that's next up. Because in all honesty, they were pushing even Shonen Jump. The next big ones being Undead Unluck, Sakamoto Days, and Marshall, which Marshall is the next one. Perfect on the list. Great segue. Marshall, it's going to be huge. I'm going to bet right now that Marshall's going to be huge, right? But it doesn't go against the whole big argument of this video of the fact that Marshall's author just announced that it's entering its final arc. It hasn't even gotten animated yet, and it's going into its final arc. That is going in line with that Demon Slayer like thinking of finish the manga first and let the anime keep on being the fandom and the hot topic. It's like if they made lucrative deals with, you know, these anime placements, that it's just so much more money and so much more worth their time that, you know, the manga is becoming secondary. That's interesting. Shonen Jump is looking at their manga model possibly as secondary compared to their licensing, which that's where most of their money comes from anyway. But again, if we thought initially that Marshall, Undead Unluck, and Sakamoto Days was going to lead the charge to the next gen, right? Marshall's going to be a short run, so it can't. It'll be a little seasonal, really awesome and big and impactful one, but it won't be around for the distance. The Elusive Samurai, which that wasn't really in the conversation, but it could hit or miss. But going back again, Undead Unluck, that one, sales have been declining. It still hasn't got its anime, and I really fear that the initial promo of Andy and the girl and all the fan service and stuff is going to be a turnoff, especially in 2022, considering you need your anime to go global, right? You need your anime to be mainstream, so to speak. What happens when Undead Unluck comes over here and, you know, a little bit of that cancel culture catches wind of the initial promo of that? So that's something to be a little bit worried about, I guess. But it's looking more like, based off of this list, that, again, going forward into finishing off what's on the roster, High School Family, that never took it nowhere. Doran, that's probably getting canceled. Ayashimon, I hope for the best, but I'm not sure with it. Protect Me Shugamaru, that's getting canceled. That's everything in Weekly Shonen Jump right now, not including a couple of new series like Sugoi Smartphone, that doesn't matter, yada yada yada. My Hero Academia, you already know that's ending as well. So with all the big dogs, right, that gotta end at some given point, right? One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, and there not being anything that is, you know, intended to last forever, like Marshall, that might be a big hit but won't last forever. What will carry Jump when all of these massive hits that are either ending, approaching ending, or going into their finale? What is a magazine going to do to sustain itself following that? Because there's nothing that is going to be continuing on. The model that has helped this magazine to thrive and continue on is the fact that they had these series that would go for 20 years, and then they would slide in everything else that maybe this could blow, but you would have the staples that are going to continue to be around. Now that we're in this microwave era where it's like, throw it out there, get it out, and let's go to the next one, we don't have that anymore. And this could very well mirror, and I'm not trying to scare people, but this could very well mirror the crash of the comic book industry that happened, I want to say, in the 90s. Obviously, I was a little young to really understand the full scope of it, but I remember when I was really young, like a little kid, I remember my cousins had a lot of comic books, and then that stopped. It just like disappeared. And I remember I was like, man, I used to love comic books when, you know, my cousins had it. What happened to comic books? Then I got older and I found out that, oh, there was like this big boom, and like these stores were getting like millions of copies of comic book, and then all of a sudden the hype died and it went away, and then all of these stores were left with all of these comic books that nobody's going to buy, and it crippled them and did a lot lot of damage, and I'm just hoping that that fate isn't what's in store for the future of Shonen Jump and this magazine and manga as a whole, because like I said in the intro of this one, Shonen Jump is the leader of all this stuff. Shonen Jump goes up, usually all of them go up with it. If Shonen Jump makes a massive misstep, like, hey, we don't have anything to support us, and the series that we got right now aren't really all that popular because we haven't put anime behind them, what's gonna happen? Or are they just going to try and continue this type of microwave, get it in, give it 3 years, throw it out? Like, honestly, the manga industry, more and more as I look at it, is slowly turning into the music industry. And if you know anything about the music industry, you know it's grimy, it's dirty, the artists oftentimes get destroyed and ruined, and I hope that that's not the case for what's about to happen with the manga industry. But shout out to the people that commented and inspired this video. Again, if you want to inspire one of these, drop a comment, you know what I'm saying, be subscribed and all of that good stuff, so I know that you really want me to jump into this. And I'm curious what you guys think. The biggest question, is Shonen Jump playing a dangerous game, and is this incoming era, or you could argue the future of Shonen Jump, destined to fail considering the circumstances and considering the lack of popularity, enthusiasm, and just in general where we're at with it right now? That's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, bye! Have an awesome day, peace in, and yeah, Shonen Jump, y'all playing a dangerous game, fam. Dangerous game. So just go to